Hi, boys, and welcome to Monday, May 24th. Can't believe it, the last week that we're going to be together in May. But we have two exciting weeks in June. And we have a fun-filled week this week. So let's start our day in prayer. Dear God, thank you for my mommy, and I just want to say how much I love her on this Mother's Day. Amen. And like I've told you, boys, in May, we celebrate mommy. In June, we celebrate daddy. So it's Mother's Day every day in May. All right, so today we have an experiment to do. What happens? And we're going to have some water, and we're going to put paper in the water, paper towels in the water, and plastic in the water. And we're going to see what happens. So we're going to be making some predictions, some guesses on what happens. And we're going to see what materials soak it up, what materials soak up the water, and what materials don't soak up the water and don't absorb it. So that's our science lesson. And we're going to, your friends in class are going to do some sidewalk chalk. And I'm going to give them rakes, little rakes, and we're going to attach the sidewalk chalk to that. So I am going to be dropping off rakes and sidewalk chalk to your house before this lesson. So either you can do it with the adults that you're with today, or you can save it for tomorrow, Tuesday, and do it with Miss Amanda. And we're going to read a book. I'm not sure if I've read this book before, but it's such a fun book. It's Feeling Wild. It's talking about our feelings. And when we feel wild, do you ever feel a little bit cuckoo or a lot? Don't worry, because you're not alone. We're going to read this book called Wild Feelings. And the craft we're going to do today, I started it for you with our stem. A little bit of leaves here, and here's the center of our dandelion. So we are going to use our Q-tips, our white paint, and we are going to make some dandelions. And we're going to make them when they become seeds that we spread. You know, when you get those dandelions and you just can't resist blowing on them and they spread everywhere. So I was actually looking for one of my dandelion pictures that when it was done, I'm not sure where I put it, but anyway, we're going to do it together. So we will muddle through together, boys. All right, so let's start with wild feelings. Do you ever feel as stubborn as a mule? Go to bed, Dad said. As stubborn as a mule, go. And you're going, not happening, I'm not doing it. Or as chicken as a chicken? Want to pet that nice puppy and you're going, no, I don't want to. Or how about as clumsy as an ox? People say that all the time. You're as clumsy as an ox. Tripping over things. You ever have one of those days, everything, you're either tripping over it or you're dropping something? Well, guess what? You probably do, because I know I do. Do you sometimes feel so sad, like a lost kitten in the rain? You're just sad. It's a sad day. Sometimes I get sad when it's raining out and it's dreary. We can't go outside. Or as small as a mouse. You feel like nobody's noticing you. Look at, hey, I'm down here. I'm over here. I feel like no one's noticing you. How about totally and completely alone? Look at this guy. He's going, oh, he is all alone, trying to get someone to notice him. How about daffy as a duck? Do you ever feel daffy as a duck? I feel like I'm quacking all the time, boys. Or positively batty. Hanging upside down, positively batty. Do you sometimes feel really, really, I mean, really mad? I do. I feel totally out of control sometimes, and I don't even know why. I'm just smacking my pillow going, ah! We don't even know why. Well, of course you do. Because everybody does. We all have very different feelings at very different times. Everybody does. Look, sometimes we're mad. Look at this guy, arf, 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 being silly. He's snoozing. Look at, look at what she has on. It's a whole room of feelings. They're everywhere. It's only natural. Silly picture. It's only natural to have all of these feelings. Wild feelings. Sometimes it just feels good to scream. Go outside and go, ah! Or go into your pillow. Ah! Don't do it too loud, you'll scare Brinkley. But everybody has feelings. Totally normal. All right, so let's do our craft next. I started our dandelions. So we're gonna pour a little bit of that white, and you don't even have to pour it because I put it in a tiny container for you. But I'm gonna do a little bit of white for myself. And I'm going to get my Q-tip. And I'm gonna do a couple of these and I'll show you. And we're just gonna do, we've done things like this before, but we're just gonna do some dots. And I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, I'm just gonna do a couple. All right, so we're just gonna do some dots here. We're taking our Q-tip and we're just doing dot, dot, dot. Now, we're going to make this in the shape of a ball because that's what those dandelion seeds look like. They look like a big ball. Okay, and I'm gonna show you. I kind of made a circle and then I filled it in. And you can make that circle bigger because you've seen some very large dandelion puffs. Call them puffs, but they're actually, all those little puffs are seeds. Okay, and I made this bigger. I kept going and made it bigger and bigger. And all you're doing is just putting the tip of that Q-tip, you're putting some paint on it. And it might be good just to make your circle first. Like this, and then fill it in. I remember when I was little, boys, when I used to play outside, I used to love to find these dandelion seeds and of course blow on them and they would go all over the place and I would think it was so cool. And my dad used to say, don't do that. You're spreading them all over our yard and it's gonna be more dandelions for me to clean up, to pick up by the root so that they wouldn't spread on our lawn. But it was so much fun. And the yellow leaves of the dandelion, they're beautiful too. Okay, so this one is much bigger than the other one. All right, and that's your craft today. So if you want to pause the video, you can finish the craft. Or if you want to just go ahead and keep going with the video, you can go back to it. I know that I do these kind of quickly, so you can always go back to when it's your coloring and your crafting time. I just went back and started making this one a little bigger, okay? But that is our art project for today. So I'm gonna put that aside. We're gonna need to let that dry for a while. And like I said, you can move on if you'd like. To go outside today or play tomorrow, I'm going to, like I said, I'm gonna drop off some sidewalk chalk and little rakes. And at the end of the rakes, we are going to tape the sidewalk chalk so we can have 3 or 4 pieces of sidewalk chalk. I'm gonna show you, I'll show you the rake so you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of like a rake or a shovel. All right, and we are gonna just take some of our sidewalk chalk, which is right over here. I know I gave you some for your dinosaur feet, but we're gonna take some of this and we're gonna put, I'm gonna break it in half, but I'm gonna put a couple on the ends here. So when you rake, you're gonna rake these colors across. We're gonna hope it works. It works on a regular size rake, but I wanted to get smaller ones for you guys. But so that's going to be part of your packet. And if you don't want to use the rake and you just want to use the sidewalk chalk, you can use the rake for something else when you're doing yard work with mom and dad. Okay, so let's do some experimenting. So much fun to do some experimenting, figuring out why things do what they do. All right, so here's my, it's our wash bucket. Okay, and I filled it with water. What happens? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna try what happens when I put paper. I'm gonna move everything because I know I'm gonna get everything super wet on my desk here. What happens when I put paper? This is just regular computer paper. So we're just gonna start. I'm gonna put it in the water and bring it out. Okay, and you can see it's wet and it's dripping a little. What happens to our water, to our paper when we have water? Is the paper breaking up or ripping? Is it changing color or changing form? Okay, so here's the one that's wet, and here's the one that's not wet. So the one that's not wet definitely makes noise, and when it's wet, it doesn't. And this one is very shiny, and this paper isn't, it's not wet. Okay, now if I take this paper and I dry it, will it go back to being like this? I think that it will. Okay, so it stopped dripping. It's definitely still wet. And I'm gonna put that aside over here on the chair, on my chair here. And we're gonna see how that looks in a little while. All right, so paper, when it gets wet, it does change. It's softer. It definitely, I mean, I couldn't do this to the wet paper. I couldn't fold it and make crisp lines like I can with this paper. All right, and remember the wet paper is a little shinier. All right, so now we're gonna try it with a paper towel. So I'm gonna have a paper towel here. I'm gonna just take one piece of it. All right, and here's my dry paper towel. I'm gonna put it in the water. I'm gonna bring it up. All right, so the paper towel definitely took in more, holds more water, absorbs more water. You can see it's still dripping down here. And it's, if I'm not careful, it would definitely rip. I could probably take it and fold it. I'm gonna try. Fold it and then maybe try to wring some of this water out because it's definitely holding the water. And then carefully try to bring it back to a full sheet. because I crumpled it up a little trying to get the water out. And again, I have to be very careful because I could definitely feel like it would rip if I was too rough with it. Okay, so there's some of it. Let's try this end, get this all. And you know what? It holds so much water that it kind of sticks together too. It's hard to separate it. Okay, so it's a little hard to separate, but, and it's definitely wetter than the paper. You see how it, oh, and see, it's very easily ripped. Okay, so when this dries, do you think that it can go back to the shape of the paper towel before? I think it could somewhat go back to the shape, but like I said, it's easy to rip. And it's very hard to get back into the original form because it sticks together so well. So, and if I pulled on it, it would definitely break off. All right, so that's our paper towel. And the last thing I have, it's asking us to use plastic. It's asking us to use something plastic. So, you know how I wear my face shields? When I have my friends in class, I wear my face shields. Well, these are replaceable. These come off. So I grabbed one of my face shields that I've used, and it's plastic. Okay, even though you can see through it, it's plastic. And I'm gonna use this for my plastic down here, my plastic piece of paper on the bottom. So I'm gonna put this in, put it in like this. I'm getting it all wet just like I did the others. Now let's see what's happening. It's dripping. You see the water on it, right? You see the water on it. But if I shake it, you can hear that noise that it's pretty thick. It's still making the same noise. And this piece of plastic is not absorbing. It's not holding the water. So even though there's water on it, you could just kind of go like this, move it off. Or you could take a paper towel and wipe it off. Okay, and that plastic's gonna be the same. It's still dry and you can still see the little bit of water on it, but the material is still the same. It's not absorbing, it's not taking on the water, it's the same shape. And if I grabbed a couple dry paper towels and I just went like this on both sides, because both sides were wet, and I got all the extra water off of it, it would go right back to being the plastic, clear, the water would be gone. And it's just like where we started, where we can go back to our paper, and it's getting there. That's what it sounds like. That's what the dry paper sounds like. So I think the paper's probably got the best bet of going back to the way it was. The paper towel, yeah, that's a tough one. It's still ripping. It would probably take a long time to dry. All right, so things that can absorb water, can take on water. It's like when you put your washcloth in the bathtub. You see the washcloth it sucks up all the water, right? It sucks up all the water. But when you put a plastic toy in the bathtub, like a plastic block or a plastic bowl, it might fill with water, the bowl might fill with water, but that bowl isn't absorbing the water. It's not taking the water in. So we definitely think that the paper towel held up, well, the plastic held up the best. Then I would say the paper held up the best, but the paper towel wasn't good. We could do a commercial. We could do what paper towel is more absorbent, but That's not what we're here to figure out. We're here to figure out what things can absorb water better. And the first thing that can soak it up is the paper towel. The second thing that can soak it up is the paper. And then the third thing that's not soaking it up is our plastic, my plastic shield. All right, boys, I hope that you had fun doing that experiment with me. I know I had fun doing it. So just to recap, your craft today are your dandelions. And remember, we're not hurrying with that. We're using our Q-tip. I loved our story about wild feelings. And maybe you could talk about with your adult today what kind of feelings you have, how you feel when you get wild. That would be fun. And then I'm going to give you time with your rake and your sidewalk chalk. So there, I'm gonna, I'll have them to you before this lesson. Okay, keep up the good work. I'm so super proud of you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.